So you've been mostly quiet for the last year or so. Um, is so your album has been your primary focus?
Yeah. In 2023 is when I started to feel like I had a grip on what was going on. I have I released the remix for Keizo this year, Consumed, which was the start of the album music. And I have another one next week. That is just a whole just me being taken completely out of my comfort zone, and still sounds like Swarm, still very much exactly what you would think, but a very very mature spin-off, I think, that just feels natural to me. And I finally found the way to keep the excitement, the next direction basically. And so I'm really excited about that. But I have you know 2022 2023 was a period of learning lots of new things, doing what makes me happy to feel like I could get back on my feet. uh I had the rug ripped out from under my feet early last year, so I took me a while to kind of regain my footing, but I'm feeling really good now. And this album is gonna be the whole story basically.
Awesome. Well, we're obviously I'm glad to have you back. Glad to see you getting back at it. What is the next step? Like, what directions are you trying to pursue now as you like try to evolve the project into something new and fresh? If you don't want to
Uh,
give everything away, that's fine. But
it's not, well, that's the thing is with the kind of stuff I do, it's not giving anything away. It's more,
reggaeton album.
no, it's indie pop.
Damn it.
So yeah, indie pop. No, the it's still very much mental health focused. It's everything I do will always be, but I think for the first time I've been able to write about things from an outside perspective and not just directly addressing mental health or my own mental health. This I have a song coming out next week called No Salvation, and it's about an abusive relationship between me and the way I feel, kind of a Stockholm syndrome scenario of me and my music, if that was a relationship between two real people. And that's the first time I've ever been able to write a song not from a fictional perspective necessarily, but like a fictitious. I was able to kind of step outside of my own box. And that is exactly how I would describe the album so far, is stepping outside of my own box and outside of my comfort zone. And I'm not afraid to do so because one, I make music for me. And two, I've already explored, a world of musical landscapes with the music I've made. Now I finally found a way to traverse more, as it were. And it's made me really happy to find new ways to do things. And there's not going to be any sort of insane, like I'm not making an indie shoegaze album or I'm not going to be doing that, but it's still going to be Swarm, and you can expect the same emotionally incredibly heavy things and bass and lots of choirs. But basically I've embraced the songwriter aspect of what I do, and I feel like I have a new open field to build on.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's what I would say. It feels like the next logical step for me, and I'm just really excited about this next single from it because it's uh it's a doozy. It's a doozy. It took me a while, as my songs always do now, but it's very much worth it, and I'm very excited.
Are you gonna push into like more vocal styles? Is that something you're looking into?
That was another reason why I actually sing on it.
Oh, nice.
Never done that before, never thought I could do it, but it made sense for this, and the people I showed it to said it sounded fantastic. So I'm just like, okay, great, because I don't want to listen to it. But yes, That is the other thing is on this album, I've heavily expanded the things that I do. And that was another comfort zone thing. And I'm terrified because I genuinely hate uh, the way my voice sounds sometimes. Not the gravelly thing. I could do this all day. I think this is great, but not the other stuff. I've just been doing that, and I find that keeps it fresh. That keeps me happy, and hey, and then sometimes I think I find incredibly different ways to accomplish what I've been trying to accomplish for years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like a new mountain to climb, a new challenge.
That's basically how I operate. I always have to find a new mountain to climb, and if I don't, I get bored. And then when I get bored, I get creatively stagnant, and that means usually I have to go through a period of reevaluating how I do things.
I think I don't remember when, but I feel at some point I saw you post online about how you approach your composition to songs, or at least you did then, that you kind of approached it where like, I want to see like like from a live playability standpoint, where like these are the drums, this is like would be a bass player, this would be a lead or guitar player, whatever, this would be a vocalist. Do you still do that?
I do.
And if you do, then is like the Swarm live band a goal in any sense of like long or short term? Is that like something that you'd like to come to fruition, or?
I Yes and no. If it feels right, I would love to do that. But what I do want on that same note, the orchestra,
Hmm.
the live orchestra with Swarm is 100%. That has been an end goal for years, and it always will be until it happens. That is what I want to do first. And the live band thing, um, I absolutely do want to do that. But first, the orchestra will be the first step to get there. I think that if when I do the live band, I don't want it to be an all the time thing. I definitely want it to be a special thing,
Mm-hmm.
but like special event kind of thing. But the songwriting aspect is definitely still that 100%. Like I play guitar all over the new song, and all over the album, period. And that's been a long term goal of mine too, is to be able to mix uh, actual guitars that don't sound like shit and aren't just thrown in for no reason
Mm-hmm.
uh, into my music, but mixing a real guitar into heavily processed heavy bass things is almost impossible to pull off.
Yeah.
And I've felt like it's totally impossible for it to sound like a fluid song and not just an edit or a random here's my metal part of this dubstep song. But I have found a way to make it part of the song rather than here's a metal riff at the beginning before the build up, before the dubstep drop. I found it to integrate it. It is the focus of the song, and everything goes along with it.
Nice.
And that has been a goal for 4 years. And I just now figured out how to do that to where it's tasteful. Basically, that in the end, any of these things I do, I just want it to be tasteful and musical. And I'm sure even if people hate my fucking music, that's cool. But you can at least tell that I genuinely care about the art and the actual music. My songs are never written from a get the fuck up, fucking punch somebody in the face, 1 2 3 head bang shit, because like I just don't give a fuck. But I like that, and it has its place.
Yeah.
But
That's not what you're trying to express.
not my that's not my focus. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to combine that with some real meaty substance, basically.
Yeah. It seems to me that a lot of times like dance music, and I guess like shows and festivals and things like that, it's kind of like an escapism sort of thing for a lot of people. It's not like a place that you go and you like cry and work through your feelings. It's more of just like a let's get fucked up and party for a few days, and then you like go back and you're like, oh shit, like I'm still fucked up. Things are still fucked up. Like I still have all my problems. They're right where I left them, but now I'm kind of hungover and
Right.
like all my dopamine's gone.
Right.
So I find it refreshing that you put so much of yourself in your music and you're so vulnerable with it in a genre that I think lacks that largely.
Thank you.
And that's, I mean, I also try to do that as much as I can. It's difficult. It's tender. It kind of, you know, so props to you for making it work.
Thank you. It's a bold move, Cotton. We'll
Mm,
see if it pays off. But the actually it was funny because I've just always been that person. I've been super in your face about how I feel about things, and it's definitely never been from like, and it's usually just in real life. It's not an online thing. It's not like I've always just spewed my problems all over the internet or anything. I've always been a person who feels a lot, is very in touch with how they feel about things, and very in touch with how to avoid pitfalls, especially in the last few years. I'm always a person that feels a lot, and usually I hide it. Up until the last few years when I met my now wife, I hid it. And even though I still was that same very, very in touch with my own brain and my own emotions person, uh, sometimes I didn't know how to work through them. And that's why,
for better or worse.
yeah. And better or worse, that's a great way to put it. And uh, so I realized the other day, actually, so before I get there, like I basically, the emotional aspect was just something that just developed over time, and it began as an outlet for my own feelings of music, and then eventually I started, when I reached the point where I was using vocals, not even my own, but just vocals in general. I was always encouraging, you know the people I worked with, like, just let it out, just do it, don't worry about talking about absolutely nothing like most dance music does. uh,
Mm,
Say what's on your mind and stuff. And then I started writing my own, and then I started doing my own. And then I just decided, fuck this. Let's just go. Let's not go for the jugular. Let's just slice the jugular always. And that is when I really started being more free personally, when I could just say the craziest shit because I felt that way. And I don't have to worry about being crazy because I just don't care anymore, because I reach this point where now it is just a full expression of how I'm feeling, and I'm not interested necessarily. Not that I'm not interested completely, but I'm not. If there's not an ability to be fully open about my emotions in the song, it's not that I'm not interested. It's there's a time and a place for that, and it may not be now, or it may be. Sometimes I'm just like, I've said what I need to say. Let's make something that doesn't have to do with that, which is fine. And, nothing can be 100% heavy all the time. That's just stupid.
mm,
And that's why live has always been a great kind of Jekyll and Hyde aspect of having everything sounds, cohesive, like the epic, the dark, the Lord of the Rings music on steroids kind of shit. But then I am able to inject some of my other parts of my personality in there. Like this last festival, I played Britney Spears,
hell yeah.
and it was fun. And because nothing has to be dark and heavy 100% of the time.
Mm,
But I always, at the end of the shows, tell people, just, I don't ever plan what I'm gonna say. I just tell people before my last song, just tell them like they're loved and they're special and all that kind of good stuff, because they are. And nobody tells people that anymore. Everybody's always arguing online and shit. How are people going to be happy or okay mentally when the entire internet is just a gigantic fuck you to everyone else? It's just hard. It's just a really tough thing to be in tune with technology now. It's just, man, it's fucking hard.
yeah.
Everything's a popularity contest. Everything is a fight or an algorithm designed to get you to pay to get your shit seen. It's tough. People just need to be reminded that there's still humanity in the world. But I had another point that I blew past. Well, I don't know what it was, but anyways, this next single I'm really excited about because I was able to write from a different perspective about the same general topic, but now I was basically just like fuck it, and I showed my wife the song after it was done, and she goes, "Dude, these lyrics are intense." And this is the first time that I'm not looking at these lyrics going, "Right, this is what it was about." Like I had always still I would never censor myself, but I was always trying to find a more tasteful, a little more neutral way to say things because like I'll be honest, I love provocative lyrics from bands if it feels like it's still tasteful, but basically I just went all out on this one. I'm just like fuck it, I'm not going to try to say things another way. This feels right, I'm doing it. So Lauren looked at me, she's like, bro, uh this is another level of you know intense. And I'm just like I know. And then I told her what it was about. She goes, yeah, you should do this. And I'm like, okay, great. So yeah, I'm really interested to see how that pans out because it's the first time I've just fully said fuck it and I'm doing it exactly how it comes out of my brain and not examining everything closely and making sure it's going to come across wrong. I just said it didn't matter this time. Just say fuck it. And so yeah, I'm interested to see how it's going to happen.
Well, there you go. If it resonates with you and it's like genuine and from the heart, then by all metrics, then it should.
That's all that I've heard about the past, and that's just now what I'm fully going with. So I hope so.
Yeah. Do you think, like as, because I mean, even now, like you're taking it to a new level, but like you've consistently been doing this for a while and in talking to your fans and stuff. Do you think that, not that you really have any super hard data to measure this, but like, do you think people are more drawn to you? And do you think that you've gained the momentum that you have because of the lyrical and emotional content of your music over just like your bass is sick as fuck?
You know,
Like the average Swarm fan, like,
honestly, I don't know. And honestly, that's one of those things that I don't necessarily, it doesn't matter to me if they are. I mean, it matters to me if it matters to me if they are. Then I can talk to them. Now then they can really know where I'm coming from and how authentic I'm being in my music. But I don't care if somebody is turned off by it.
yeah.
I don't give a fuck. Actually, this is a great point, very short point here. I'm not going to go off on a 10-minute tangent. The other night, I was playing a game. Because a lot of my music, like a lot of the ideas come from games now because I'm never really big a huge gamer, but like there's so many amazing cinematic games out there now that like aren't afraid to just say fuck you, now your heart's broken kind of shit.
Yeah.
And that's I just try to find all of those now. And it started off a little bit lighthearted on the surface. It was dark, but not super dark. But as the game went on, it just absolutely took the most heartbreaking nosedive. And and at the end, I'm like, dude, this is what people feel like when they go to see me or they live. It's like gaming is not, there's been emotional narratives and stuff, but like this was just a gut punch. And I'm like, dude, like I'm upset. This is awesome. And it's like that must be what people feel like when they go to see me when they listen to my music when their friends tell them to, like, this is great. And then they're like listening to music, cool, and then they hear the lyrics, they're like, oh my god, like fuck, this is upsetting. And it's just like, yes, that's exactly what it is. And but like, but it allows you, I feel like games like that and music like that has it just gets me and it gives me the goosebumps and it just resonates with me. And it's just like, dude, you took something that's not a typical form of emotional like discharge or emotional just connection and just made it so personal and so brutally honest. And I love that. And that is just I kind of had the big realization, like, damn. So I guess maybe that's how people feel when they listen to music. So to answer your question, it's like I'm gonna do me, and I hope that people are drawn to it because of that. But some people I know are just not going to give a fuck and just want to get fucked up and listen to bass, which is fine, whatever. But like,
That's how it goes.
that doesn't bother me at all.
I mean, honestly, like what you've been doing has clearly been working. If I had to pick a collection of genres out of a hat, like symphonic, mid-tempo metal, something like that, I wouldn't be like, you know what the people will like? I bet they'll like this. Like it would that wouldn't be like my first pick. And yet here you are. You're making it happen. Do you feel like you're making it happen?